it's Tammy, and it's time for another episode of Tammy's Tips and Tricks. So for those of you who may or may not know, I like to sew, and I have a little bit of an obsession with fabric. And if you ask my husband, you would probably think that I was really obsessed with fabric because I have kind of a lot of it, but I don't really do big projects, and so I tend to have a lot of smaller pieces of fabric. And so I came up with actually 3 different ways that I store these smaller pieces of fabric and try to keep them more organized. So the first way is making mini bolts of fabric. Okay, so a mini bolt would actually be fabric wrapped around a piece of cardboard. So this piece of cardboard is actually one that you can buy online, and it's actually a comic book insert. I don't know the exact dimensions of it, but anyways, or you can also just make some out of cardboard. And all you do is you take your piece of cardboard and your piece of fabric. So this piece of fabric is only about maybe 1.5 feet wide or long. And I take it and I fold it in half. And then all I do is I take the piece of cardboard and I wrap the fabric around the piece of cardboard. And then at the end, you just pin that edge to the fabric. You pin the edge of the fabric to the rest of the fabric. And then you have a nice mini bolt of fabric. Okay, so here's a bunch of the mini bolts that I have. Now my idea is to have all my fabric pieces on these mini bolts, and then I will store them up in that closet right there. See that closet? That's all my mini bolts of fabric, but I needed a shelf installed. And so until that shelf is installed, you know, that's kind of where my mini fabric bolts are being stored right now. Okay, so the second way that I like to organize my even smaller pieces of fabric is by making just remnant rolls. And so these are for pieces that won't fit on one of those cardboard things. So basically all I do for these is, you know, the projects I can make out of these are like keychain fobs, little mini purses. The girls, my girls like to make little Barbie stuff out of these. So I like to have a lot of these little pieces. And basically all I do is I fold it up into like just a remnant. It doesn't even have to be pretty. And you just kind of roll it up like that. And then you just tie a ribbon around it. I don't have a ribbon, but so they don't have to be exact or perfect, and you just tie a little thing around it, and then you have a basket of all these different remnant rolls. Okay, and now the final tip that I have on fabric storage is for scraps. Now this is a no-brainer really, but basically these are just small little pieces that, you know, I might need. Again, you know, I can't really throw fabric away. I think that's part of the fabric. Being a sewer, you just don't want to ever throw anything away. So I actually just stuff these all into a bin, and I put a lid on them. So these are all just really small pieces of scrap fabric. And yeah, I think I just have one of these totes. So there's 3 tips for you tonight on how you can store your smaller pieces of fabric. Hope you enjoyed it and you got some helpful hints, and I will see you tomorrow.